you an example of why the people in the Congress, in the Senate, do not care about the American public or the American people or what's going on in the economy. Because what's happening is that these people are going to Congress not to serve you. They're using your vote by dividing Americans against each other, by sowing the seeds of hate and division among Americans, so they could focus on hating each other and suffering, paying high fuel prices and grocery prices, inflation at all-time high. Okay, if you got a 401k, and if you know how to trade stocks, you're doing good. If you got a 401k, your 401k is up. Cash some of it out, I suggest. Okay, but if you do not, like most Americans, they're suffering. Okay, so what it is that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you an example of what's going on. So Dell, this is a Dell stock, very famous stock. Okay, let's look at Dell. Dell used to be a $2, $3 stock, $5 stocks in 2020, like during the COVID, $10 stock. Okay, but for past few years, it's trading about between $50 and $100. Okay, so in 2025, it reached $120, and then when the tariffs was announced, it crashed back to 64, and it started climbing up. But prior to the tariff announcement in April of 2025, all the congressmen and senators were boasting about their positions in the company called Dell. They made a lot of money in NVIDIA during the NVIDIA pump, okay? Because there were no $1 trillion market caps prior to COVID-19, okay? Because the Federal Reserve, because most Americans do not know how these people in the stock market become rich. What happens is the Federal Reserve prints money off thin air. And then you become in debt to the U.S. Treasury of the money that's printed. So the money that's printed gets fed mostly in the stock market, in the financial market, and the military industrial complex. So if you had a house in the 80s that was $250,000 or 90s, and you had a Cadillac parked in front of your house, you were the man. But so just to get an understanding of where I'm going with this, so you can understand basic, is that now you got to have a Rolls-Royce Phantom or Ferrari just to have some status in $1 million high rise. Am I correct? Yes. The way that is right after 9/11, they started printing money. When that happens, they flood the system with money. So the system is being flooded, but you, the American taxpayer, is becoming in debt because you're going to have to pay the money. That's how the system works, okay? They print money digitally, okay? Because you rarely find $100 bills in America. If you want to find $100 bills, you got to go overseas, maybe to some war-torn country. But check this out, ladies and gentlemen. So this is Dell. To give you an example, Dell has tripled in market cap just in past 2 months. Okay, Dell has tripled in market cap. AMD, which is a chip manufacturer similar to NVIDIA, has tripled in market. So they pumped $500 billion in AMD. They pumped another $300-400 billion in Intel, and they pumped $100 billion in Dell just in past 2 months. Okay, so now you see Dell, you see this big pop in Dell from $130 to $327, triple in market cap. Okay, that's a lot of money. And to go back to what I said about them boasting about what were they boasting about? The Congress, they're boasting about taking position. So what's happening is the reason these congressmen are getting elected and going in Congress and Senate is that they're becoming wealthy through stock tips and connections with the people in the stock market, big tech, okay? So they're getting stock tips, so they have inside information when the stock is gonna make a move. They take positions in the stock, or whether it be actual stock or options, okay? And that is how they're becoming rich. They're becoming rich not to serve you. They're becoming rich is to rob the United States government, to rob the U.S. Treasury. Here's the news why. Dell's Pentagon deal reshapes Microsoft, okay? Dell awarded $9 billion Pentagon contract. So Dell has been awarded $10 billion in contracts, but they knew that a year ago when they crashed the market, when they announced the housing. So their Epstein class crashed the market, They went in, buy cheap assets and stocks while people got scares, okay? And now they have triple, quadruple their money, okay? This is how, while the Americans are struggling to buy fuel, while the Americans are struggling to buy grocery, these people are going there to enrichen themselves. They don't give a fuck about America. America is gone, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, America is gone. And they have turned the United States of America into a surveillance state. The way they did it, the big tech has bought these politicians. Do not say anything for AI regulations, for not say anything for them to spy on you so they can build a new America, violate your constitutional rights. Okay, so now you have I'm just giving you an example of what inside trading is. They're all insider trading while you suffer. But there's no one is talking about bringing these diesel prices down, fuel prices down, groceries ain't coming down. You need to wake up and pay attention, read the Constitution, read the Bill of Rights, and study laws, study cases, Supreme Court cases and other cases regarding your violation of your civil rights. That's what you need to be doing.